Hello, everyone, and welcome to my lunchtime chat that is sponsored by our Black Hair Matters. This lunchtime chat will be on hair textures, the glory within our crown. And on today's live, I am sitting down with Dr. Tamika Ellington, who is the Associate Professor of Design at the Kent State University Fashion School and interim assistant dean for the College of Arts and Sciences. And she actually has two projects, one called Textures that we will talk about, which is based on the history of art of Black hair. And then she is opening at the Kent State University Museum during the fall of this year. And she is also writing an anthology entitled Navigating the Black Hair Phenomenon in a White World. And so this topic is extremely important because, usually we talk about hair science, but, with our Black Hair Matters, I really want to mix it up a little bit and talk about some other important aspects of Black hair. So we are excited to have this conversation because it focuses on the art and the beauty of our crown. And so, if in case you don't know me, my name is Dr. Crystal Porter, and this is a live online broadcast platform dedicated to elevating the Black hair care industry and empowering consumers and hair professionals with education that is driven and backed by scientific research. And so, welcome everyone. I want you to start off by putting your name in the chat and letting us know who you are. If you are a hair practitioner, put the number 1 in the chat. If you are a consumer, put the number 2. And if you are a researcher or a scientist, put the number 3. I'd love to know who you are. And also share this broadcast. If you're looking on Facebook, you can just share the broadcast, but also if you are on YouTube, you can just give us a thumbs up as well. And if there are at least 5 people that who would be interested, please let them know. And so just want to make sure if you are frustrated with the lack of information that is available to you when it comes to caring for your hair, or if you've wasted a lot of money like I have, time and resources trying to figure things out on your own, you have come to the right place. And that is one of the reasons why we created our Black Hair Matters, the movement. All right, so one last thing before we get started. I have a very valuable resource that you can use, and it's the 3 biggest mistakes to avoid when caring for your curly hair. And in order to get it, you can grab it by clicking on the link that should pop up. It's bit.ly-OBHM consult, and you will get that free gift. All right, and so welcome, Dr. Tamika. It's a pleasure to have you here. As I was mentioning earlier, you have Textures, the history of art and Black hair, and I want to hear all about it. So let us know what that's about.
Yes, so the exhibition Textures, the history and art of Black hair will open in September of 2021. It is an exhibition that is going to show a compilation of historical hair artifacts. It'll show also some contemporary artwork that was done by artists who used Black hair as their muse. So it's a beautiful mixture of things that we think about when we think about the history of Black hair, and things that we think about when we think about politics of Black hair, and when we think about the joy of Black hair and the celebration of Black hair, what all that means to us as Black people. So that's what the exhibition is all about.
Wow. Yeah. You know what? I can't wait until I am vaccinated and I'm able to see it. Yes. I think that it'll be quite a refreshing experience, considering that we've been cooped up in the house, and I love all things hair, especially Black hair. So yeah,
absolutely. I can't wait either. It's interesting because the show was supposed to open this past fall in 2020, but with everything going on, we felt that it was so important that we hold off so that people can actually, instead of having to experience a virtual, kind of experience, that people can come see the pieces in person, see the artwork in person, and really get a feeling and an understanding of what it's like, being a Black person, and these struggles. Kent State University is a predominantly white university, and so most of the people that will probably see the exhibition are white people. And for me, it was really important that not only am I doing this for Black people, but I'm also doing this to help others who are non-Blacks get a better understanding of us as human beings, get a better understanding of what it is our beauty means to us, and how important that is, and how powerful that is. And so, yeah, that's what it's all about. I can't wait for everyone to be able to see it up close.
I'm glad you said that, because a lot of times I think that a lot of white people are curious about our hair, and I think it's become a sensitive topic, and I think they're probably a little bit more apprehensive to ask the questions that anybody who's just curious, because if you don't see it or deal with it on your own, sometimes you just want to touch it. And some people are very offended. I'm personally not too offended about that. I do understand, with me being a scientist and wanting to educate, is something that if someone says, "Oh, can I touch your hair?" I let them do it. But it could be taboo. And Dr. Afia, Dr. Afia, she and I had a discussion about, whether or not you let people touch your hair or not.
Yeah, I'm on the fence about that one. I mean, I'm an educator too, and I love educating individuals and, giving them a wider understanding of things. But, perspective, and I mean, I get the curiosity, when you're invading on someone's personal space. That's just, I think that's different. I don't know. I'm on the fence about it. It depends on who asked me and how they asked me.
I understand. So I want to take a pause and say hello to Jacqueline. Thanks for joining. And Taria is here. Thank you. There is someone who says Facebook user, and I believe you're probably coming on from my probably our Black Hair Matters page. A lot of times that comes up as Facebook user for some reason. And Larone, thank you for joining as well. So in what you do, I mean, you also do research. And I'm curious about understanding, the aspects of research and some of the findings. Is there anything that you can share with us?
Yeah. The type of research that I do, since my background is in fashion, and with fashion, beauty and self-identity is all wrapped into that. And so pretty much all of the work that I've done on Black hair has much to do with our self-identity, how we feel about ourselves, our self-esteem, even to some extent our self-efficacy, which is different than self-esteem. Self-esteem is, our overall sense of self-worth. Self-efficacy is things that we feel as though we're capable of doing. And so I remember for my dissertation research, I looked at how Black girls perceive their sense of self-efficacy based on the clothes that they wear and based on how they wear their hair. And it's interesting to know that most of the time when Black women in particular, because as we know, the idea of being natural for its relations.
So Dr. Tamia,
so with
yeah, I don't know if you can hear me, but you're breaking up a little bit. So I'm not sure if our viewers could even hear what you said. I know that you were talking about self-efficacy, which is a term that I had never even heard before. So I'm glad you shared that.
Yes.
But can you start over again in talking
Yeah.
about, what you found in terms of how people perceive what they can do?
Yes. Yes. And so with self-efficacy, it's talking about our capabilities. Are we good at our job, or can we be successful in certain relationships? So, like, that might be romantic relationships, or personal platonic relationships, family relationships. What those will look like. But what I found in the work was that most of the time, Black women in particular, and I was mentioning the fact that for Black women, that whole idea of natural hair sits very different than it does for men, because men aren't, held to the same ideas of what beauty is. Women are held very strictly to this dominant idea of what beauty is, and oftentimes our Black hair texture, our Black skin doesn't fit within that parameter. And so Black women have a lot more stress and anxiety surrounding their hair. And so oftentimes, I've heard, found in my research that Black women will say things such as, this one woman that I interviewed, she said, well, when I went natural, because at one point she was wearing her hair really straight. She even had her hair blonde, long, straight, silky, and her mother coveted her hair. And when she decided that she wanted to go natural, she cut her hair off and, went to visit with her mom. And she said her mommy was very upset and didn't speak to her for like almost over a month, because of the fact that she cut her hair. So that, had some kind of a, unfortunate repercussion on her, because of her choice. And then I've had other women that I've interviewed who said, well, my husband doesn't like my natural hair, and it put a strain on our relationship. Other women who don't have a significant other, or who are in the dating market, will say something like, well, it puts me at a disadvantage because men don't typically want to date someone who has quote unquote natural hair. They would rather have somebody who has this long whatever weave or whatever, right? And so things are changing, but they are changing slowly. And the research really shows that because of the stigma, because society is still telling us that wearing our natural hair is not something that is accepted, or not something that is considered beautiful in most instances. It takes a lot of self-esteem. It takes a high level of self-esteem, a high level of self-worth, in order to be able to wear that hair and to be proud wearing that hair.
Wow, you raise a good point, and it is amazing how family can set the tone
Oh
to
yeah.
how accepting we are with our hair. I oftentimes share the story about how my oldest daughter did not go natural until after I went natural, even though
Mm.
I encouraged her, but it was really lifestyle and a personal choice in terms of manageability. It was just so much easier when my hair was relaxed. It just took a lot less time to do as it does now that
Hmm.
it's in its natural state. The other thing that you hit on, which I think is just really interesting, and I would like to know the psychology behind it, but men, Black men in particular, and what I was surprised about, I did a survey. So not necessarily, so I haven't worked through the data yet, even though I still have it. I did it and then I kind of put it away. But I interviewed Black men at one of the festivals that we have here in Chicagoland in the summer.
Okay.
And I went around and I recorded Black men, letting me know, me and a friend know, what it is that they like about Black hair, what is it they don't like about Black hair. And what I found was Black men want Black women, even though Black women don't always believe it, but what they said mostly is that they want Black women to wear their own hair.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
and I'm not saying that the weaves and the wigs aren't, beautiful and acceptable in our society. But when talking to Black men, I was really surprised to hear that, because when you ask Black women, they say that Black men want something else. And I thought that was really surprising. And so I try to stay in the realm of being a hair scientist and not really talking about all the controversial stuff, but you hit on it, and so I wanted to say that. So
you know what that I think partly what that's about is Black women are getting the feedback from society, from dominant society, about what beauty should be, right? So we're getting that feedback from the media, from books. Black girls see the fact that, most of the time when they have dolls, white dolls, or the quote unquote prettier, dolls. So we get all of that. We get all of that feedback from society. But then what we also see, though, is when we talk about data, we also see that women who are on the dating market, who might be using these online dating apps, Black women are typically the least desired women on these dating apps. Black men even select Black women less than they do anyone else. So their preference, according to the data, on these online websites where people go and match up with each other, the Black men, supposedly their preference is for Latinx women and Asian women. We're after that. We're not number one for Black men, and so they may be saying to you as a Black woman, I prefer, for my woman to wear her hair natural. However, or her no extensions or whatever that might be. But hair texture has a whole lot to do with that too. What texture your hair is has a lot to do with that. So maybe a man he would prefer for his woman not to wear a wig, but he may also prefer for her to have long, straight hair naturally, long, straight hair naturally. So it's complicated. It's really complicated.
wow. Yeah, so what you said earlier, it takes a lot of courage to
Yes.
adorn your hair in this way and feel
Yes.
confident in doing that. Yeah, that's wow. Interesting. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that. Wow. I don't even know what to say about that. I haven't
And,
experienced.
you know what? It's funny. I was telling a friend of mine that this is actually is hitting personal to me now, because I'm newly divorced and now on the dating market myself. And the fact that I'm going to have to start dating, and I've been natural since 98, and I refuse to wear a wig. I refuse to straighten my hair. And so, I'm really interested to see how this whole dating thing is going to go. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, wow.
So.
Well, so I'm thinking about how you separate your personal, desire to be natural and to present yourself in a certain way, and not mixing in what based on your background and education, in terms of, what is the psychology and all this,
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
It's
So,
interesting. It's interesting.
So thank you, Kathy, for joining. Taria had a comment, but Taria says, but I think it's part of value alignment.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I could definitely see that. It's part of value alignment, and it's also part of cultural self-acceptance alignment as well. So I think that when Black people have a higher level of awareness about themselves and a better appreciation of themselves as Black people, then, natural hair, whether it be opinion of a man or a woman. They have no problem with accepting the beauty of black hair. It's all about, as she said, the value alignment. It's all about how you feel about your culture overall. Are you proud to be a black person? Are you self-accepting? Are you, someone just, she also just put in the chat, cultural self-awareness. It has a lot to do with it.
Yeah. Now, when you say cultural, it reminds me of what used to be and what's becoming accepted now. So as a part of our culture, so earlier I spoke about how my influence on my daughter, or maybe even when I think about when I refused to allow my youngest daughter to cut her hair off, because culturally within the family, they instill this, okay, if a young child has a decent length of hair and then you cut it all off, it actually speaks bad on the mother.
Wow.
The child preferred it. It's just that I didn't want to have to deal with the backlash of my family saying that, how come you let that baby cut her hair? And she's not old enough to make that decision. And so I feel as a mother, I would probably be attacked. And not to say that I'm not able to withstand the heat that would have come, but it's just something that I preferred not to deal with at that time,
Yeah. Yeah.
So speaking culturally, it almost seems as though that mindset is a part of our culture, but I think it's becoming more accepted, or people are accepting it more, which is shifting, the mindset of our families. I know a number of people who, after I, went natural and then I cut off all my hair, they're like, well, why did you do that? How come you didn't just grow it all out? And I was like, it's, my preference.
Yeah.
And so I've gone natural a couple of times. And so, yeah, I don't think it was really anything that was a problem in my household, but outside of my house, other people always have opinions, right?
Oh yeah. It's funny. A lot of times, when you were talking about length, right? Length becomes an issue for us, because I remember for years I wore locks, and I had long locks. I wore locks for about 13 years, and they were like, way down my back, right? And so a good friend of mine that I worked with at Kent State, Black woman, I decided that I wanted to cut all my locks off, and I didn't tell anybody, of course, because it's my decision. So I came to work the next day and my hair was, short like this. And she, as soon as she saw me, she was like, why did you cut all your hair off? You had that long, beautiful hair, even though it was natural, and it was in locks, but it was still long and beautiful. Why did you cut all that long, beautiful hair off? And I'm like, okay, so now that I have short hair, does that reduce the amount of beauty that I have? Am I no longer as beautiful as I was now that I, have my hair cut off? So it's a compilation, right? We were always taught that for women, our hair is our crown and glory, right? This brings up such a funny one. When I interviewed this one lady, I think she's like in her 60s, and she was telling me that she, when she was in the dating world, I think her husband passed away or something. And then after her husband passed away, she decided that she wanted to date again. So she was, looking to date. And there was this older gentleman that wanted to date her. And at this time, she had cut her hair off. She was natural. She wanted to just wear like a little short, what we call TWA, right? A teeny weeny afro. So she had a cute little gray and black, salt and pepper, teeny weeny afro. And this guy that she was dating, older gentleman that she was dating, had said something to her about, a woman's crown and glory. And so she was like, well, yeah, I think my hair is beautiful the way that it is. And, she was like, yeah, it is still my crown and glory. And this particular gentleman's response to her was, well, you have some awful short crown and glory, and so It's interesting, right? That's
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah. We have a lot of work to do on ourselves, a lot of inner work to do on ourselves.
right. Wow.
Yes, yes, yes.
With the exception of the last point that you made, I was going to say that sometimes people don't know how what they say lands.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I don't think that the comment about you cutting off your locks was, saying, oh, all that hair, all that.
Right, 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 right.
I just think that it's the shock of, oh my God, it's a totally different look. And it was so long. And we, as Black women, we know how long it takes for you to get that length. And so I
Hmm.
think it was probably
It might have been.
of all that. But
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm. Yeah.
how it lands is not
Right.
always in thought, I don't think.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Now, Taria said that she had cut her locks too. Yes, so she has recently cut her locks, and she said the psychology, yeah,
Uh-huh.
and or the mindset. But
Yes.
I think things are changing, though. I think that as young girls and young men, as they are growing up now, and they see that this and what you and I have is the norm,
Yeah.
then it's like, okay, this is how our people look.
Right, right. Yeah, it's getting better. I think, I really think that it goes in waves, during this, I'm hoping that it continues to grow. But I wouldn't be surprised because history has shown us that just as fashion goes in cycles and waves, hairstyles also go in cycles and waves. And right now, natural hair is very important to our culture because of all of the social injustice and social unrest that we've had. And so it's, again, just like in the 1960s when we were going through the civil rights movement and the Black Power movement, it was very important for us then to rebel against, what society was saying about us and what we were having to acculturate and assimilate to, right? So it went hand in hand with what was going on in society. But right now, it's kind of the same thing. The natural hair movement started early in the early 2000s. And so it's been kind of, it's been, continually picking up and really picking up now, because of everything that's been going on. But I'm just really interested to see, okay, so 5, maybe 10 years from now, will people still be really into, wearing their hair natural, or will we go back in the swing? So back after the 60s and 70s, we swung back in the 80s to start wearing our hair straightened again. And that's when the Jerry curl came out and people were relaxing their hair again. So not necessarily were they getting a perm to relax and straighten, but they were straightening it with that curl product, right? So we
Mhm.
again stepped out of the natural hair and went into a different form of assimilation, right?
Right.
So so I'm interested to see what's going to happen.
Wow. Yeah. So Taria also says that she thinks media has a great part in it as well. And yeah,
Yeah,
I
absolutely,
do agree with that. Yeah. I,
absolutely.
I haven't, well, I won't get political. I was just getting ready to say how the media really influences things is amazing to me. And
It
I
is.
really realized the impact of media until probably about 5, 6 years ago.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah,
amazing. But yeah.
it is. It is. Yeah. And even when you think about media geared towards certain age groups, one
Mhm.
of the research projects that I did was looking at what is the media saying to our young girls about their hair. And so I looked at commercials, TV shows that are geared towards children. And so what I was looking at was like primary age school girls, like, preschool up to like early school age kids. So these would be children that watched things like Sesame Street, or like they watch like Nickelodeon cartoons, or they read children's books and that kind of thing. So what was the media saying to them? And it was refreshing to see that media aimed at young girls, for the most part, really helps with that self acceptance and that self awareness. that it is teaching girls that it's okay to, wear your hair in its curly state, that it's okay to, to love your hair the way that it is. Sesame Street is just brilliant. I mean, I'm a huge, huge fan of Sesame Street. And they've always been very, very progressive in everything that they've done. And so several years ago, they came out with this segment called I Love My Hair. And there was a little puppet, little black girl puppet who had very curly hair, and she talked about all the different hairstyles she loved to wear. And so, those kinds of things. And they even had a marketing campaign where they were selling merchandise, t-shirts and other apparel pieces that, talked about Black girls loving their hair. So, Sesame Street is just brilliant, and they've been, progressive for so many years, and they have helped us as a culture and other cultures, the Latinx culture, other, cultures, really accept themselves. And so it's refreshing to know that the media right now geared towards our little girls, for the most part, promotes self-acceptance.
And I second what you said about Sesame
Yes.
Street. I was really impressed with the initiative, or the I don't know if it was a promotion or whatever they did when they did showcase that. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. So that kind of segues into the artistic expression of hair, right?
Yeah.
So your exhibition, is it going to, talk about how we as Black women and men had different styles, and the way that we showcased our hair, what it meant in terms of like status or lifestyle? Can you give us a little bit of history about that?
Yeah, so we have several pieces in the show that will show either photography or other artwork, paintings, or other types of, mixed media pieces that will show that, specifically in areas of Africa, if you had your hair in a certain way, it gave, indication about your identity in regards to your status in the tribe. So it really would even help people see, okay, so for instance, we have this one beautiful photograph of a woman who has this beautiful long, like stacked kind of pointy down the center of her head kind of structure to her hair. And this particular image is called the Fulani woman. And so people in the Fulani tribe, they wore their hair in a certain way. And then when you were considered royalty, your hair was even styled a little bit differently. And so it's those, hairstyles. I mean, we all know that Black people's hair can do lots of different things and can be lots of different structures. And so we took advantage of that and was able to use our Black hair as a way for us to identify ourselves. And then there's another beautiful photography piece that is called the Maasai Man. And the Maasai are a group of warrior men in Africa. Particularly, I think they're in
Kenya.
I can't remember, Tanzania, right? Aren't they Tanzania or Mali?
Kenya. Well,
yeah.
They're definitely in Kenya, and they may have migrated. I mean, because Tanzania is right next door, so probably
right. Yeah.
definitely Kenya.
Right. And so those gentlemen, they wear their hair in these little tiny small braids, and when they are warriors for the village, all of the warrior men, they all wear their hair in the same, hairstyle. And it's really interesting to see how it's evolved over the years, and how some of the artists that we will show in the show, there's this one particular artist, Sonia Clark, is absolutely amazing. She's a fiber artist, and she has actually used hair. She collects hair. So like she'll have friends of hers or family members or whomever, when they cut their hair, they'll give their hair to her, and she'll use their hair in her artwork, which is just amazing, right? For her to even think about the depth of that. She has a piece in our show called the Black Hair Flag, where she took the Confederate flag and she braided cornrows and Bantu knots on top of it in the shape of the US American flag. And how deep and political that whole idea is, behind the structure and what our hair, is capable of accomplishing, and what it is capable of showing about who we are as a people and the power that we have. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Awesome. And so when it comes to Black hair and how it's related to self-empowerment, is there something that history can teach us in terms of what we're doing now, or how does that play a role into how we present ourselves?
You know, self-empowerment has, I think, been a major part of the research that I've done. In everything that I've done, I've tried to use my work as a means of self-empowerment for our people, for Black people, for people of the African diaspora. And so, because I'm a designer, I would also do um, pieces for exhibition, and those pieces oftentimes would reflect various areas of African culture. So I might use the Ashanti tribe as inspiration for a piece, or I might use the Nyongatom tribe as inspiration for another piece. But really, what that was all about was trying to get people to have a better understanding of African cultures and to really be able to see the beauty in African cultures. And so the exhibition and all of the other written work has just been a means of, like, I think education is probably one of the things that is the most empowering to us, not only to us as Black people, but us also to non-Blacks. When you have an education and when you have a better understanding of a particular group of individuals, it really can help to start that harmony, that human existence, that human love within each other. And it's just a way that you can begin to empower a group by celebrating, everything that they've done, with their hair, or with whatever, their, type of beauty is. And so, hair being a means of empowerment has just been, over the years, we've seen, with the Black hair, the Black Power movement, we've seen now with this natural hair movement that we have, it's been a way for us to really empower ourselves, but then to also show that empowerment to other people, and for them to be able to have a better understanding. Because that's really what myself, I curated the textures exhibition with a co-partner, a co-curator, Dr. Joseph Underwood. And that's one of the things that was so important for us, is to be able to bring in that human existence, that humanality to Black beauty, so that people can get a better understanding. Because I mean, overall, our goal should be in life, everyone's goal in life should be to find a way to be more harmonious with each other, to figure out a way to love each other, everyone to love each other. And you can really only love someone if you have a better understanding of them. And so that's really what the empowerment's, been about for me, is just bringing awareness to the beauty of Black people.
Awesome. I love what you're doing. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Jeanette, thank you for saying that she's loving this one especially. And
Oh, good.
thank you, Jeanette. Love you too. Really appreciate your support. So one thing I want to talk about is textures and your book,
Okay.
because I think about textures, and with me being in the hair industry, textures has dual meanings. If you look in the cosmetology books, they say texture is the diameter of the hair fiber.
Right.
That
Right.
is definition, in cosmetology. But for you, I'm just curious about what you mean when you say hair textures.
It's interesting, when Dr. Joseph and I were, deciding what to title the show, textures kind of just stuck out to us because there's so many layers in it. So not only are we just, of course, talking about the texture of Black hair, but we're also talking about the layers and the texture of the struggles that Black people have had to go through. We're talking about the layers and the textures of what it's been like for them to, be successful in having a better cultural acceptance, self-awareness, celebration, being able to celebrate ourselves. So when we think about textures, we think about not only just the tactile texture of Black hair, but the overall texture of the culture and how Black people have had to move in and out of this white society, you know, and sometimes loving and then sometimes not loving, their hair.
Wow. Yeah. I had no idea that it was that deep.
Hmm.
Um, or what you described for
Yeah,
hair texture in
yeah.
terms of it having, a more in-depth meaning. And I think it's significant because there are so many layers.
Oh, yeah.
Oftentimes, so I took a screenshot because my daughter was in Japan for a study abroad program that she did when she was still in college. And I remember her contacting me, and I don't know what time it was there, but it was early in the morning here, so it had to have been in the evening there. And she had, was she still, I want to say she was still growing her hair out, and it's very humid there in Japan. And she just had one of those moments that I all Black women have, and that is, oh my God, my hair is not cooperating with me. And she was just having that struggle of, I am not liking what my hair is doing. I don't feel beautiful. And she sent me an emoji of like her, the emoji had like hands over the eyes, a well of tears
Tears.
underneath. And I was like, oh my God. And so I had to like FaceTime her, hold my camera up and just kind of show her how I was like, okay, you can't have it out anymore. It's time to just braid it or twist it. So I taught her over, FaceTime basically to how to twist her hair so that she can be presentable in a way that it would, lift her self-esteem.
Yeah.
Because, but as a woman, we all go through that, right? We
Oh,
all
yeah.
have these moments that we're like, oh my God, what am I going to do with this? And so
Oh, yeah.
about texture, she was not able to create the look she wanted because of the humidity in her environment. And
Yeah.
so that, yeah, it is that layer you're talking about, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and then, I think about, the introduction that we had to each other and how you and I met, and that you've been helping me with my own journey, with my, my texture, and me trying to figure that whole thing out. And I think it's interesting because not only do we go through, and we're not the only women that go through this, but it's even more traumatic for us when we go through because our hair already has so much trauma surrounding it. But the idea of losing your hair or hair loss, and how big of a deal, it is for Black women to lose their hair, or have situations where, your hair is falling out and you just don't understand why, and so I am happy to tell you that I have started taking zinc, and I found out that I had a zinc deficiency, and so I've been going hard and taking that zinc, and my hair has started finally coming back. So I'm
That is
really
wonderful. Thanks
yes.
for sharing that.
Yes, yes. So it's finally coming back. And actually, I went to my barber to have my hair cut. And I was saying, I was like, be careful around such and such area. I said, I'm still, I still have some issues with my hair. And he was like, well, you know what? It's coming back. And I was like, that's wonderful to know. That is, after all of those, I mean, you and I have, we've tried several things to try to get this hair to come back. And so knowing now with the compilation of all those things, 'cause I'm still using the products that you recommended to me, and now with the supplement of the zinc and some biotin and things, it's starting to come back.
I am
So
so glad to hear that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And, Carol, so while you and I have been working together with that, the one thing that I decided I needed to do, I had to transition from helping people one-on-one because the
Mm-hmm.
problem is so much bigger than anything that I alone can tackle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So that's one of the reasons why my business model had to change. I was like,
yeah.
I need to figure out who I can work with. But then you struggle because you're like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
it's my name. And if I have a recommendation, I need to make sure that the person is not only going to take care of them, but they have a certain knowledge base. I mean, it's a whole lot of things that go into
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
so it's taken a while, but I really do feel like I have a core set of professionals who can help people such as yourself. So stay tuned. It is coming. And I
Awesome.
tell people all the time, this is something that it's, like I said, it's taken a while, but we need to work together to just do a lot and to learn more.
Yeah.
Your experience is not unique. And I'm sure that there are other people who need to supplement zinc.
Mm-hmm.
But it needs to be under a physician's care and all of
Absolutely.
that. So, I mean, it's a
Yeah.
lot of things that need to be considered. So we as an industry, and even though I'm not a physician and I'm a practitioner of hair science because of my background in chemistry and then also the experience that I've had in industry. But yeah, it's tough. Now, Taria says congratulations, so that's
Thank
awesome.
you. Thank you, Taria.
Yeah. So I want to give you the opportunity to talk about how we can get, our hands on your book.
Oh
And
yeah. Yes.
if
Yes.
you want to get information about your exhibition and when that's going, like the month is going to launch, can you give us more information? Because, like I said, I'm excited to be able to get out, and you're not that far away from me, so I can
Right. Yeah. Just like a
go.
hop, skip, honey. A hop, skip. That's right. So the Textures exhibition will open in September, and we are praying that things will be under control with COVID, so that people can be able to come together and be able to be in this space. And so we're actually going to have an opening. The opening, I think, is set for sometime in late September. I can't remember. I can't remember the exact date for the opening, but as soon as I get it, the marketing materials and all that, I'll make sure that I share that with you so that you can share it with others. But
Oh,
the show will open in September, and it'll actually stay open for almost the whole school year. Well, it'll be open for almost the whole year. So open in September, and it won't close until August of 2022. So it'll be up for quite some time. So if you don't live in the Ohio area and you want to come, you'll have 9, 10, 11 months of time span over where you can plan to come. And if someone is coming from out of town, please let me know. You guys can reach me I'm on Facebook under Tamika Ellington, on Instagram under Dr. Tamika Ellington, on LinkedIn under Dr. Tamika Ellington, Tameka Ellington, Ellington. So you can find me there. If you want to come to the Texture Show, just send me a message and let me know when you're coming, and I'll give you a personal tour.
awesome.
Yeah.
Give that information one more time, a little slower.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I want to make sure that people can capture it because, wait, I will be coming. You have a promise, and whatever I can do to, help it be successful, I think what you're doing is great, and creating that awareness is really important.
Yes. Thank you. Thank
So
you.
one more
Well, yes. So you guys can reach me on Facebook under Tameka Ellington, Tameka Ellington, Ellington. I'm on Instagram as Dr. Tameka Ellington. I'm also on LinkedIn as Dr. Tameka Ellington, and you guys can find me that way.
awesome.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you think that we need to know in terms of, how to explain, the art of hair to our like children or nieces, nephews,
Mm.
cousins?
Oh, you had asked me too about where to get the book. So the Textures book is available on Amazon. We actually have been sold out for quite some time. We're going into our second print of the book, and so if you contact the Kent State University Museum, you may be able to get it through their gift store. So contact the Kent State University Museum. I'll actually, if you would like, I can put a link in the chat so that people can have a link to the museum. I can do that. But you can probably order it on Amazon. I'm not sure when it'll get to you, but Amazon has it. There's other bookstores. I think Barnes and Noble, I believe, also has it, and some other like other museums around the United States also has the book available for sale. But right now, it's people have been having a hard time getting it because it's not available right now. So we're waiting for our second print to go so that people can start getting it again. So,
well, I call that a success story. A lot of
absolutely,
people
absolutely.
don't have the luxury of saying it's been sold out and you gotta wait. So that's good.
Yeah. It's been a blessing. It really has been.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I will also share it. So if you want to put it in the little box right now, then that's fine, and everyone across the channels can definitely see it. And I just want to let people know I really appreciate Dr. Tamika. The way we were introduced was through a mutual friend, someone who knows that I'm a hair scientist. So I'm so grateful that I have people to connect me with awesome other professionals and people who are contributing in the industry in particular. And so I want to just let you know, just segueing from that, if you have a pressing concern and need to have a conversation, my team is definitely standing by, and you can schedule a 15-minute call by going to that same link that I talked about earlier. That's bit.ly/OBHM consult. And I would be more than happy to help you. And you get that in the chat?
I'm trying to. I have the link, but let me see. Let's see. For some reason, I had to put it in the private chat. So for some reason, I can't. The comments area, I can't get access to that one. So I had to put it in the private chat.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where. Oh, there's the private chat.
Yeah.
I see it now.
Okay.
I'll see if I can put it in there.
Taria, she just messaged and said that she'll add it.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you. Really appreciate it. And I am always here for you guys. And if there are any other questions, this is the last call for alcohol, as they say. Let us know while we have Dr. Tamika here. But the good thing about it is sometimes with the replay, they'll have questions, and I always go back and answer those questions.
Okay.
So your information is here. So if they have the information, they can share that as well.
Okay.
So, all right, we got it in there, Kent State Museum. And as always, guys, thank you for joining, and take care and love your hair. Have a good one. Bye-bye.